When we pause to observe the state of the world, it may feel as though life unfolds in erratic waves, chaotic, unpredictable, and indifferent to meaning. We see conflict, injustice, and disorder as if reality itself is detached from purpose. Yet deep within, there resides a silent intuition, a subtle insistence that life is not simply a series of random events. That there is a deeper rhythm beneath the noise. And when we ignore this rhythm, we begin to drift, not just as individuals, but as an entire civilization. This disconnection fosters despair. It fosters the illusion that we are powerless wanderers in a universe without a compass. But what if this is not the truth? Looking beyond the surface, a different image begins to take shape. A picture that reveals not chaos, but a neglected order. An order not imposed from outside, but emerging from within the very architecture of existence. What appears as misfortune, dysfunction, or decay is often the result of disrupting a fundamental alignment, an inner breach of natural harmony. This is not punishment, but consequence, not randomness, but misdirection. There are laws, principles, quiet and ancient, that guide the unfolding of everything from the orbit of planets to the thoughts that stir within the human mind. They do not shout, they do not demand, but they are always present. To live in alignment with these laws is not to control life, but to cooperate with it. It is to become a co-creator, not a bystander. The circumstances we experience, both personal and collective, are not arbitrary. They are shaped by our conscious and unconscious responses to the world. In a world obsessed with immediacy and short-term rewards, we've abandoned foresight. We've traded reflection for reaction. And as moral discernment fades into the background, we find ourselves lost in pursuits that serve only the self, detached from the whole. A thriving civilization is not merely one with skyscrapers and wealth, but one where the well-being of the many is not sacrificed for the ambitions of the few. This isn't idealism, it's survival. In our striving for dominance and recognition, we've grown obsessed with conquest, over nature, over each other, and sometimes over ourselves. But greatness is not about control. It's about clarity. The most evolved individual is not the one who manipulates the world to serve their desires, but the one who learns to master their own impulses in service of a greater purpose. A civilization, then, must be more than an engine of industry. It must be a sanctuary for meaning, a place where each individual is honored not for what they possess, but for how they contribute to the collective harmony. To return to wholeness, we must begin where all transformation begins, within. Integrity is not a public display. It is an internal alignment. A state in which thought, word, and action reflect the same truth. This internal consistency becomes the foundation for a new kind of strength, one not rooted in dominance but in understanding. Not in control, but in connection. We are not separate threads. We are fibers woven into one tapestry. And only when we recognize this do we begin to see ourselves clearly. In moments of silence, we often return to a simple but profound question: why am I here? What am I meant to do? Philosophers, mystics, and seekers have asked this across the ages. Some have looked to the stars, others to scripture, and still others to the depths of their own minds. And though their answers may differ in language, they often converge in essence. Our purpose is not found in escaping the world, but in engaging with it, consciously, ethically, courageously. Existence is not a single lifetime, nor a fleeting instant. It is a continuum. A journey that does not end with death, but transforms, evolves, unfolds. This view does not remove responsibility. It intensifies it. Our choices today ripple across unseen horizons. They shape not just our personal lives, but the future of humanity. To live with purpose is to live with awareness. To act not just for gain, but from a deep-rooted commitment to growth. One of the greatest obstacles on this path is fear. Fear paralyzes. It confuses. It creates enemies where none exist and builds cages within open fields. But what if fear is not an external force? What if it is an echo, amplified by misunderstanding? Most fears arise not from real threats, but from distorted perceptions. From unhealed wounds, unresolved memories, and unfaced truths. When we stop projecting blame outward and begin the honest work of self-examination, fear begins to dissolve. Not because danger disappears, but because clarity emerges. At the foundation of all things is a single principle. You may call it source, the divine, consciousness, or simply life. It is not bound to language, yet it speaks through everything. Every tree, every star, every moment of stillness, each reflects an aspect of this infinite intelligence. But we do not arrive in life with this awareness intact. Instead, we are given the sacred task of remembering. And remembrance requires discipline. Throughout history, purification was never just about cleanliness. It was a path to clarity. Whether through fasting, prayer, silence, movement, or service, spiritual disciplines were tools for alignment. They were means of shedding what is false to rediscover what is true. Today, we may scoff at rituals as outdated or irrelevant. But behind them lies a timeless truth, that the quality of our inner state determines the clarity of our perception. Purification, then, is a return. A homecoming. A retuning of our being to the frequency of truth. The universe is not indifferent. It is ordered. And this order, though not always visible, is felt by those who attune to it. It reveals itself in moments of stillness, in flashes of insight, in the peace that follows courageous action. From the earliest codes of justice to the mystical laws whispered in sacred temples, humanity has long sought to mirror the deeper laws of nature. These laws are not moralistic rules, they are principles that support flourishing. When we violate them, we suffer. Not out of punishment, but because we fall out of sync with reality itself. If there is a creator, a great architect, it is not a being of wrath, but of wisdom. Not a judge, but a guide. To follow the laws of nature is to step into the current of life rather than swim against it. To live in falsehood is to fracture. To live in truth is to become whole. And even in the face of collective foolishness, there remains hope. Because ignorance is not permanent. It is a veil, and every veil can be lifted. The same forces that divide can be turned inward and transformed. Anger can become courage. Fear can become wisdom. Selfishness can become service. This alchemy begins with awareness. And awareness begins with the willingness to look honestly at the world, and at ourselves. We are the stewards of the future. Not passively, but actively. Our actions, our integrity, our choices, they shape the world our children will inherit. Power does not reside in dominance. It lives in the ability to choose with wisdom, to create harmony where there was discord, to speak truth when silence would be safer. The future belongs to those who choose alignment over ego, clarity over chaos, and love over fear. In a universe governed by principles, the greatest among us are not the loudest, but the most aligned. Not the conquerors, but the creators. Not the controllers, but the harmonizers. And in this alignment, we discover that life was never chaotic, it was only waiting for us to listen.